Okay. And so it says the king ordered his servants, bind them hand and foot, throw them into outer darkness, where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. What is that referring to? Where's the outer darkness? The tribulation. The tribulation. Okay? They don't get thrown into hell. They get thrown into the tribulation because they have to be like a clay in a pot. They've got to be remade. You know where this comes from? This comes from Zephaniah. There's nothing new in the New Testament. It's all found in the Old. And look at this. Zephaniah 1:7-8. Be silent at the presence of the Lord. The Lord. For the day of the Lord is at hand. Now look at this. It's just like in the parable. The Lord's prepared a sacrifice. He's consecrated his guests. And it will happen in the day of the Lord's sacrifice. Look at what it says. I'm going to punish the princes, the king's sons, and all who are clothed with foreign clothing. This is where that came from. And notice, even the king's kids are going to get punished if they come in their own righteousness. Wow. Now, look, this is why in Luke 12:35-37, it tells the men, stay dressed. In other words, keep your wedding garment on. Keep your lamps burning and be like men who are waiting for their master to come home from the wedding feast or the wedding party, so that this time they'll open the door to him at once when he comes and knocks. In other words, the Lord's going to come and knock, and people are going to wait to open the door. They don't open immediately. This is what the Song of Songs is all about. The bride doesn't open the door. And the first part of the Song of Songs, she tells them to go take a hike. And then she opens the door, and he's gone. And the second time he's coming, she says, I don't want to go outside. I'll get dirty. And so he leaves, and she can't find him. This is a direct correlation. And he says, blessed are those whom when the master comes, he finds them awake this time. Truly, he will dress himself for service and have them reclined at the table, and he will come and serve them. So let me put this in plain English. There are going to be believers who aren't taken out, or they may be taken out and put back because they're coming in their old self-righteousness. But that doesn't mean they're not going to initially or eventually get saved. They got to get some more refinement done. And then he comes and he says, this time, if you answer the door immediately, you get to go to the wedding supper. You missed the wedding. You missed the wedding feast. But now comes the wedding supper, and I'm going to grab you and I'll bring you to the wedding supper. I don't know how many of you looked at it, but that's exactly what this is saying. Now look at Exodus 19:11. Remember, he said to be ready for the third day, because on the third day, the Lord is going to do what? He's coming down in the sight of everybody. Well, I want to give you a prophecy here that will blow your mind. That's the same thing that it's saying in Hosea chapter 6. Look at verse 1 and 2. Israel gets smitten, and they're repenting. And they say, come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn, he will heal us. He has stricken, he will bind us up. After 2 days, he will bring us to life. In the third day, he will raise us up, and we will live in his sight. A day with the Lord is how many years? After 2,000 years, what is going to happen? He's going to revive us. They became a nation in 1948. And then in the third day, he will raise us up. That's the resurrection of the dead. And we will live in his sight during the millennial reign, the third day. Okay, what year did Messiah die? 30 AD, 30 CE. 2 days is 2,000 years. What is 30 AD plus 2,000? 2030. 2030 is when the 2 days end. It's also the end of a Shemitah week, and a new Shemitah week, the first year, begins Rosh Hashanah of 2030. Could that be the time when he raises us up and we live in his sight? I mean, there's a lot of things that are pointing to Rosh Hashanah in 2030. 30.